Dylan, hello? Come to our new office. Urgently, huh? What's happened? Why such urgency? Your wife? Come and see for yourself. Only urgently? What happened to Eliana? Okay, I'm calling a taxi. I'm waiting for you. Hey Dylan, how's everything going? Life is kind of insane, man. I don't think I could even make this up. What's been happening? Well, you remember my wife, right? Yeah, I remember. What's been going on with her? She cheated on me with our coworker friend? What? How did it happen? I caught them red-handed at their new workplace. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw them together, acting all cozy like they were the only two people in the office. But wait, it gets even more scandalous. Eliana left the company back in 2019. Well, it turns out that she's still been seeing him on and off this whole time. Can you believe it? I found out that they had been sleeping together for more than 4 years behind my back. That's messed up, man. What happened next? I'll tell you what. That moment when I walked in on my wife and Grayson was one of the most awkward and uncomfortable moments of my life. My wife started frantically getting dressed like a deer caught in headlights, but Grayson just stood there with this smug grin on his face like he wanted to get caught. How terrible it is. But as if that wasn't bad enough, the whole thing turned into a complete nightmare. Grayson had the nerve to go around the office telling anyone who would listen about how he slept with my wife. I mean, can you imagine the audacity? It was beyond humiliating, and I just couldn't believe the lack of respect they had for me and our marriage. That's awful, Dylan. What happened after that? Well, it gets worse. Ugh, I can't even begin to tell you how disgusting Grayson is. Just a few days ago, he sent me a message that made my blood boil. Apparently, he and my wife had been up to their old tricks again, and this is a day after I caught them. Oh my God. According to Grayson, my wife had put on her wedding dress. You know, the one we had just used in our own wedding, and did a little special showing just for him. And as if that wasn't bad enough, he also had the audacity to send me a video of them doing the deed. I was beyond grossed out and completely outraged. How could they be so disrespectful and insensitive? It's like they're trying to rub their affair in my face and make me feel small, but I won't let them get the best of me. That's crazy, I know, right? But when I finally mustered up the courage to confront Eliana, all she could do was cry and apologize over and over again. It made me sick to my stomach. How could she even think that a few tears and a half-hearted apology would make things okay? She will never understand your feelings at that moment. You're right, but I mean, what's the point of getting married if you're just going to cheat on your spouse? I just couldn't wrap my head around the fact that she would throw it all away for a fling with Grayson. I don't get it either, man. What happened next? Yesterday, I went to our old storage unit to grab a few things, and I stumbled upon something that left me completely stunned. My wife's wedding dress. The one she was in, about what Grayson told me. Apparently, she brought it back here and left it. Seeing that dress just brought back a flood of emotions and memories, both good and bad. So what did you do? I decided to take matters into my own hands and get revenge on my cheating wife, Eliana. And let me tell you, it was one of the most satisfying things I've ever done. I took the dress home and sent her an invitation to celebrate our anniversary, making her think that I had forgiven her betrayal. Of course, she rushed over, excited to patch things up. You're a true vigilante. But little did she know, I had a different kind of celebration in mind. When she walked into my backyard, she was surprised to see her wedding dress already in the fire pit. But I gave her the chance to set it on fire herself as a way to symbolize the end of our marriage and her betrayal. Wow! I have to say, watching that dress burn to ashes was one of the most cathartic experiences of my life. It felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. How did she react? I'll be honest with you. When Eliana saw her wedding dress in flames, she put on quite the show. She cried and acted like it was the worst thing in the world, but to me, it all seemed very fake and insincere. After all, if she truly regretted cheating on me and ruining our marriage, she wouldn't cheating again, right? Yeah. But what about Grayson? The guy who slept with your wife? Oh, you're not going to believe the latest twist in my life saga. So, Grayson, well, he's back in the picture. He's currently working as a manager at our old company, if you can believe it. Huh? And get this, my current company just bought the old company. Can you imagine the awkwardness? My manager even called me into his office to ask who I thought they should keep on staff, with a strong emphasis on strong moral character. I couldn't help but chuckle at that one. What a twist. Well, it looks like my manager has thrown me a bit of a curveball. He offered me the chance to hand Grayson his notice of termination, but with a couple of conditions. Wow, and what are the conditions? First off, I have to do it with my manager and another manager present, just in case Grayson decides to get a little hostile. I have to admit, I'm a bit nervous about that one. I don't want things to get ugly, but at the same time, I'm not going to let Grayson intimidate me. That sounds intense. The managers who will be present when I hand Grayson his notice of termination made it very clear that I'm not to engage with him in any way. I have to admit, I'm a bit relieved about that. I don't think I could keep my cool if he tried to start something. Well, yes, that's right. But here's the thing. The managers are aware that I have a bit of a temper, and they want to make sure I don't do anything stupid. I appreciate their concern, but it's not like I'm going to fly off the handle and start throwing punches or anything. I'm a grown adult, after all. That being said, I am definitely going to keep my distance and keep my emotions in check. I don't want to give Grayson the satisfaction of knowing that he can still get a rise out of me. It's time to show him that I am the bigger person and that I won't let him bring me down anymore. What's the second condition? With the original owner moving south and Grayson being terminated, it seems like I've been tasked with helping the company transition over until they can pick a new supervisor. It's definitely a lot of work, but I'm up for the challenge. I see. The good news is that if I can pull this off, there's a chance I might get a raise and the opportunity to make this a full-time gig. I have to admit, that would be pretty sweet. I've always wanted to have a stable, full-time job with benefits and all that jazz. That sounds like a great opportunity. It is. I have to admit, there's a small part of me that's actually looking forward to Grayson's termination. Not because I take pleasure in seeing someone lose their job, but because I get to do it in front of all my old coworkers who know what he did to me and my wife, the icing on the cake. The reason for his dismissal will be that his moral character doesn't meet the company standards for honesty and integrity. I mean, can you imagine the look on his face when he hears that? It's almost too perfect. That's some sweet karma right there. Hey, how's everything going with Grayson and your job situation? Oh, I haven't told you yet. Well, it's good to know that my new boss and old boss have my back in this whole Grayson situation. They both know about what he did to me and my ex-wife, and they've been through similar situations themselves. So they totally understand the importance of karma and making sure people like Grayson are held accountable for their actions. In fact, they were the ones who suggested that I be the one to hand Grayson his notice of termination. It's a bold move for sure, but it also sends a clear message that the company takes issues of honesty and integrity seriously. And let's be real, it's also a bit of sweet revenge for me. That's pretty wild. Do you feel bad about it? Not really. Let me tell you, Grayson is one of the biggest a-holes I've ever met. Not only did he sleep with my wife and break up our marriage, but he's also a terrible employee. He pads his hours, steals equipment, and drinks on the job. And to top it all off, he recently tried to start another affair with the new safety consultant. What a creep. So, everything is on merit? Yeah, so do I feel bad about him getting terminated? Absolutely not. The guy had it coming. He's been skating by on his terrible behavior for far too long, and it's about time someone put a stop to it. I hear you. Did you end up handing him his notice of termination? Yeah, it happened this morning. So, the day finally came for Grayson to get his notice of termination. We all went into the office to have a meeting with the current owner, and let's just say that Grayson was not happy to see me there. I was the last one to be introduced, and you could practically feel the tension in the air. Grayson looked like he wanted to crawl under a rock and disappear. I have to admit, it was a bit satisfying to see him so uncomfortable. I can imagine. How did he react? I have to admit Grayson's reaction to his termination was not what I expected. At first, he was in complete denial. He couldn't believe that it was actually happening. But as soon as it sunk in, he lost it. He started screaming at me, telling me to go screw off in some very colorful language. It was honestly a bit shocking to see him act that way. I guess I shouldn't have been too surprised, given his track record of bad behavior. Everything as usual. Thankfully, the current owner was there to step in and defuse the situation. He told Grayson that if he walked out the door, he was quitting, and that was that. I think that reality check helped calm Grayson down a bit. That's intense. But what about his wife? Did you hear anything from her? It turns out that his wife is currently at home recovering from an attempt to end her life. It's a really difficult situation for everyone involved, and my heart goes out to her and her family. Jesus. Interestingly enough, when Grayson found out about what happened, you could see that he didn't care about her. But the reality is that Grayson was a terrible husband and father. He had some serious issues with gambling and alcoholism, and he was constantly tearing down his wife at home and in private. It's no wonder she was driven to such a desperate act. That's really sad. Do you think he'll ever change? I don't know. It's a sad truth that sometimes we don't realize the value of something until it's gone. In Grayson's case, the one thing he needed most from his wife was the fact that she couldn't see his faults. She loved him unconditionally, despite his flaws and mistakes. Now that she's gone, he's going to have to face those issues head on. It's a tough reality to confront. Well, I'm just glad you're finally able to move on from all this. It sounds like a pretty crazy day for you, man. Yeah, never in a million years did I think my story would turn out like this, but now that some form of justice has been served, I feel like I can start to move on and put it all behind me. How disgusting you are. Only rats do that. If you were a normal man, I would go out and solve all the issues with you one-on-one. Normal man? Well, if you were a normal man, you would not sleep with someone else's wife and cheat on your own wife. You acted like a fool, so now you have to sort out your problems yourself. Oh, Jesus. Don't talk like you're smarter and better than everyone else. Got it? I'll deal with you again. An unemployed, stupid, and lonely 40-year-old man telling me this. Ha ha. Okay, I'll be waiting. Says the one who slept with your wife. Oh, my ex-wife. It's already a small loss, huh? I'm divorcing Eliana, and I'm not interested in her anymore, so you can do whatever you want. Goodbye, Grayson. Don't contact me anymore.